Scary figure in the camp. In the summer of 2012, me and a few of my friends went on a camping trip in a faraway campsite in a forest. We were planning to take some nature photographs since the forest is very famous for birds, tigers, as well as wild elephants. We had 15 student members in our group and 2 lecturers. Well, actually, the leader of our group was Mr. Fernando, who was well experienced in organizing these kinds of camps for his students. He was very strict throughout the whole camping event because out of 15 students, 10 were boys, and they were difficult to handle because they were always trying to do some nasty stuff, such as getting drunk. Alcohol was not allowed in our small camp, and Mr. Fernando was very strict about the rules. We had 2 separate tents, one for girls, and the other one was for boys. In the second day of our camp, we woke up early and went deep into the forest with Mr. Fernando. Since it was a long journey, we had to pack our backpacks with cameras, first aid, and with some food for the lunch. We all wanted to take some photographs to take back home, and not just bad ones, we wanted good ones. In the middle of the forest, we had to stop and take our lunch. After the lunch, we were asked to get a short break, and some were resting while others were taking photographs of the nature. After about 10 minutes, we heard someone scream and got to know that it was Derek from our group. He was taking a photograph of a bird, and someone had pushed him from his back. And he had fallen into the ground and broke his camera. He was complaining about his friend Mohan, thinking that he's the one who pushed him from the back. But Mohan was talking with me all of that time, and I thought it should be someone else. But Mr. Fernando was a bit upset about this. We came back to our camp, and we were too tired, so we went to sleep early that day. On the third day of our camp, we had a barbecue in our site, and Mr. Fernando provided us with good meat. We started our barbecue around 7:30, and around 9 p.m., our meat was something really good. And we were eating our barbecued meat with some drinks, and one of our friends started playing the guitar. We were gathered and sitting in around, talking to each other while the barbecue oven was a little bit away from us. Mr. Fernando stands up eventually and turned the meat on the oven. While we were sitting there, 4 of our friends suddenly screamed, looked at the barbecue oven, and Mr. Fernando stood up like he had seen a ghost. We all looked that side, but I didn't see anything or anyone. I later found out that 4 students and Mr. Fernando had seen a tall, hairy figure standing near the barbecue and was surprisingly stealing our meat. The figure was so scary, according to the students, and was not at all human. All the meat was thrown away by Mr. Fernando, and we had biscuits for that dinner. Derek suddenly looked so scared and was telling us that he did feel the hairiness in the hands of the person who pushed him the day before. We didn't know who was that man or the figure, but even though we all looked at the side, all of us couldn't see it. Only we saw a few of the figures, and the rest of us could see the emptiness. After coming back home, Mr. Fernando told us that it's a special kind of spirit, like the ones we call devils or demons. Have any of you seen this kind of thing? I'm very curious to know, so please comment. Many events with ghosts. I was staying over a friend's house on a Saturday night. I was 8 years old at the time. I am now 13. Anyway, for some unknown reason, I woke up at 6 a.m. It was summer, so the sun was already out. I was slowly waking up and looked at a corner. Then I was fully awake, and a girl, she had an old-fashioned PJ dress on, floated through the wall. She slowly turned her head, and I saw that she had very white eyes and a very long plait. I immediately woke my friend up. She wasn't much of a believer then. I told her what happened, but she said I was just imagining it. Then there is the picture we have of my friend dancing in her backyard at a barbecue. The barbecue was for me and my family because we were going to Chile for a holiday for about 6 months. Anyway, 4 years later, my brother's friend was looking at our photos and she pointed out to me that there was a ghost in the picture. I was like, oh my goodness. I went to our balcony and I told my mom. She said she had seen it before. There is something that happened to my brother as well. He was sleeping and he just woke up for no apparent reason. He usually sleeps with his door closed, but that night it was open. Anyway, he was awake and all of a sudden he sees a white hand close the door. Everyone was asleep. So we all think it's a ghost. What do you think?